do you think it should be preserved or not? And so we'll go through the lecture. A lot of this is straight notes, and then I'll give you an example of a question of some archaeological sites that some people actually think should be destroyed. So you can sort of go ahead on your own, justify why you think they should be destroyed or why you don't think that's a good idea. And that's what I was trying to find on that article. And it's a current, up-to-date issue, and that was still going on. And that the article I'll show you is from November of last year. So these are actually pretty relevant issues in terms of, you know, what is cultural heritage, should it be preserved or not, things like that. Now, before I do that, I had an email from a man who's doing something that's called Project Nerve, and he'd like to come into the class and talk about, it says it provides students with opportunities to develop a well-rounded knowledge base and gain practical experience in leadership, understanding, and collaboration, with the background being the study of Islam. And I was going to go ahead and say yes, but I thought I'd ask the students here if you'd mind. I think it's only like a 5 or 10 minute presentation sometime in March. So is that okay? Anyone have any problems with that? Okay, I checked with the chair already, and they said it seemed like it was fine. So I'll go ahead and say yes, and we'll see what they have to say. We'll probably hear coming up in March. So about a 5 or 10 minute presentation, and it's for all the students. So I think they thought the introduction to anthropology is a good class to do that in. So I'll go ahead and give an affirmative on that. Okay, so for the lecture, we'll go through this. A lot of this I'll just read. And then I'll give you a couple of examples to illustrate some of these points. Okay, well, the idea with archaeology is how do you protect the past? Right, so 2 basic ways might be increased public awareness of the importance of the past in other archaeological sites. And in the United States, there's a professional archaeological association called the Society for American Archaeology. So anyone could become a member of that. And then the other idea is to try to figure out, in essence, who owns the past, or no one, that idea, no one owns the past, or we all sort of own the past, right? The past is part of what, everyone's background. So the goal being to promote the enforcement of existing legislation against the import and sale of antiquities. What some of the main United Nations legislation bills. We'll cover some of those conventions here. Okay. So there are 2 large organizations that work to protect archaeological sites within the United States. There's something called the Archaeological Conservancy, and that was established in 1980 in New Mexico. It is a national non-profit organization, and its goal is to, it will buy land and archaeological sites for preservation purposes. And so, what I found listed for up to 2008 was that it had acquired up to 245 sites already in 37 different states. And these run from all Paleo, Indian, up through historic time periods, large and small. Okay, now a larger reaching one is what's referred to as UNESCO. So that's the website that we wanted to look at some of those different cultural and national heritage And that stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. I think right after World War II, the United Nations had a conference that dealt with the problem of education, destruction of things that are considered important to different people around the world, as well, beyond some of the other human rights injustices that they try to confront. And this one dealt with these things like educational, scientific, and cultural issues around the world. And so that's when that was founded, ratified in 1946, and initially 20 countries organized together to found that organization. And here's the list of those countries, with the United States being one. Okay, so that was 1945, and destruction of different sites continues for various different reasons, and one of which is looting. And that hasn't disappeared today, and it was getting pretty bad prior to the 1970s, continued to be pretty bad even after that, but finally in 1970, looting for profit, right, that's like grave robbing. Usually it's usually the target is, most of the time, graves, where grave goods have been buried with people. And the goal is to acquire those goods so you could sell them, to make a profit. This had gotten so bad on an international scale that finally UNESCO had to come up with a treaty. Right? And that is called the Convention on the Means of Prohibiting and Preventing the Illicit Import, Export, or Transfer of Ownership of Cultural Property. So anything apparently after 1970 that is believed to have been looted, that would be illegal. You couldn't take that to a museum and say, I want to give this to a museum, or I want to sell this to a museum. And you're not supposed to sell it to private collectors either, because it's considered looted from graves, right? And so if that can be proven, right, then I guess there's pretty stiff fines, you go to jail, and things like that. Now it's hard to prove, right? But finally, with this, they found there are a long series of articles related to this. And Article 9 is one of the most important. And it allows a country to call on other countries to help stop the export of their, what they call cultural patrimony. Right? So if someone has robbed a tomb or a grave or something else in one country and tries to sell that in another country, the original country could call on the other country to stop that, right? To enforce laws, catch them at the borders, and I suppose deport them back to face criminal charges in the original country or in the country where it had been imported. And so that's what this is, a country whose archaeological patrimony was under attack from commercial looting, could call upon other states to impose import restrictions on the kind of goods being pillaged. So that's the goal, right, to try to stop that. And so also in 1972, to reinforce this idea of things do have value, and you could put a monetary value, I guess, on it, but probably it's more than that, right? So they came up with another document called the World Heritage Convention, ratified in 1972, and that was to promote the identification, protection, and preservation of cultural and natural heritage around the world. Considered to be of outstanding value. And so that's what we looked up. That's what you looked up for part of your archaeological assignment for this class. So it deals both with cultural heritage and natural heritage. Cultural heritage being defined as, refers to monuments, groups, buildings, and sites with historic, aesthetic, archaeological, scientific, ethnological, right, anthropological value. Usually to the people who live in the area, first and foremost. And then natural heritage refers to outstanding physical, biological, and geological formation. Habitats of threatened species and animals and plants in areas with scientific, conservation, or aesthetic value. And sometimes these two occur together, and sometimes they don't. A lot of times, they'll be borderline, right? So there may be formations where people have lived in particularly sensitive geological areas. So you'll have both the natural part and the cultural part where people lived in the past and how that made a big change and things like that. So it's not always easy to separate them. But for your assignment, as long as you have the cultural heritage part, you're okay. So, great. Okay. Go on, and then I think I'll go through the notes and then give you. See how we're coming up in a second. Okay. Does or has looting of archaeological sites where there's destruction stopped? No. And going back in time, in 1978, UNESCO had to set up another convention, which is called the Intergovernmental Committee for Promoting the Return now of cultural property to its countries of origin or its restitution in case of illicit appropriation. So sometimes this continuously, let's say you're running a museum and you don't know something's been looted or stolen, and you acquire those objects, right? And there they are in case I read about in a museum in New Mexico, and it can be proven that they came from graves, tombs looted in Peru, and Peru requests that material to be returned. Right? And so now there are guidelines for how that might be done. And sometimes it's done, and sometimes it's not done. Right? And it depends, right? There can be long legal issues about whether something was really stolen or wasn't bought or was it, willed to someone or not, or does that will take precedence over the request of the people from the original country? I mean, all kinds of issues related to this. But this at least established a platform of negotiation, mediation, and conciliation and attempts to facilitate the restitution of important cultural objects. And one, I'll just show you an example of our Parthenon sculptures. We'll do that one in a second. And to develop means to prevent and raise awareness about and to combat combating against illicit travel. And so this is in effect. And through time, UNESCO has established a number of cultural and natural heritage sites. So as of 2012, last year, there were 936 sites or properties that have been incorporated into the World Heritage Program. And to date, 189 different states, state-level governments around the world have ratified this. And I looked this up, and there are 193 member states in the United Nations. And so around the world, we have 109. Besides the United States of America, there are 192 other states. And 189 of those all agree that these are important sites, right? World Heritage sites that should be protected. Right? So the government, elected or not, officials in 189 states agree that these are important. Okay? Now before I go to the Parthenon sculptures, let's go ahead and take a look at this issue. And everybody has different opinions of things, right? Should things be protected or not? Should we follow the UNESCO, 189 states and their, politicians, religious leaders, lawyers, all think that these sites should be protected, right? And so you got to pick a different site that you may or may not have thought should be protected. So here's an example from last year. Let me see if I can get this on my screen. I'll get it up there in a second. Excuse me a minute. Cost freeze. Okay, well, this is why they always say have a backup. I have a photocopy of it. I'll just show you that. Just in case somebody's trying to block my access to this website, right? Okay, so let me show you the, so this is, when I first made this assignment, having people pick a site and decide why or why not they thought it should be preserved. That was before I read this. Right? And so this came out only, November, I bet you. Let's see if I can get this to work. And I'll just show it to you. I'm not going to. And these are some of the issues that we're facing around the world today. Right? And that's everybody, and particularly if you're an anthropologist or an archaeologist, you sort of wonder what is going on. So here's someone, right? This man is an Egyptian, and I'll just read what should be destroyed. That's what he thinks. Right? Destroy the idols. So he's pretty sure they're idols. Right? And that they're against the beliefs of if you're Islamic. And that he thinks in a small, I think it's a relatively small group of other people think that in the past God ordered Prophet Muhammad to destroy idols. Right? When I was with the Taliban, we destroyed the statues of Buddha, which I'll talk about later. Something the government failed to do. So I guess he thinks he needs to take it upon himself also to destroy the Sphinx and the pyramids in Egypt. Right? Because they're idols. Now, a number of other people disagree with that. Right? There are some people from Tunisia, political individuals, who said, well, other people have gone to Egypt in the past and they've never destroyed those monuments, and that those are things that they're not worshipped anyways. Right? So you never see anyone go to the pyramids and have a worshiping ceremony. Everybody realizes that they're things built for individuals who were identified as pharaohs 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, and that they should be preserved. Okay? So again, I mean, as an archaeologist and an anthropologist in UNESCO, and now 189 states that have signed that convention, including Egypt, would say, we may have a problem here. Okay? What if this group of people decide to go to Egypt and try to blow up the pyramids? And and again, you may say, oh, well, I think they're right. Or you may say, I think they're wrong. Okay? So that's today. Right? That's in the world today. What's going on? Okay, so here's another example. Where was I? Okay, so I assume 189 states would try to protect that because it's identical. Right? Would try to protect the Sphinx and the pyramids because they're identified as cultural heritage sites of world significance. Okay, so here's the mission statement. Help countries safeguard world heritage sites by providing different types of assistance and professional training. Provide emergency assistance for world heritage sites in immediate danger. Encourage participation of the local population in the preservation of their cultural and natural heritage. Okay, now here's a long list. This is only a small part of the World Heritage archaeological sites. So again, you got to look up some of those. And so here's another question. And again, this one, to me, this one's harder. Right? To me, as an archaeologist, there's no question that the pyramids and the Sphinx should be preserved for all peoples, including people who live in Egypt. At least the Afghans come from those areas. Now, this one deals with that repatriation. This is an example that deals with the repatriation of, in this case, it wouldn't be sites, right? Because you can't pick up and move a site generally. But this would be of, for instance, artifacts that come from important locations and around the world, defined by the people there and other people. Okay, so this is the one that deals with that question, who owns the past? And these are what are referred to as the Elgin marbles. Okay, so here's a little background, and then I'll just show you a couple of photos of where these come from, and you probably already know. Okay, now we go back in time to what's today called Greece. The 479 BC, right, the Greeks defeat the Persians. Some people still speak Persian. And they returned to Athens. Right, so Athens is the capital of Greece today. So that sets the political stage. During the rule of one of the leaders there, this structure is built. It's called the Parthenon. It took 15 years, and in 432 BC, it's finished and dedicated to one of the goddesses, right? And referred to as the Temple of Athena. And so, at that time period, the Greeks were polytheistic. Right? They believed in a number of different gods, and the way that they would express that is that they would build temples to those gods where they would hold ceremonies in that sacred location, right? And this was one of them, Parthenon. So on this Parthenon, Greek and Roman archaeology studies the fact that they did a lot of sculpture, right? So they created a frieze of more than 400 humans and 200 animal marble statues along the top of that structure. I'll show you that. And that actually depicted an important festival that related to ancient Athens and this belief in these number of different gods. What you would bring to the festival, right, what types of food were eaten, and things like that. So that's what got me thinking. Now, in 1901, a number of people from Britain, right, the British ambassador, and a wealthy, I think this person was wealthy too, and another lord from England, right, Lord Elgin, went to Constantinople, which was Turkey, and obtained permission to remove large portions of the trees. Right, so they actually got permission from the country that was controlling Greece at the time. Right? So that was the country that said, well, we held the permission, we held the power over this area, and we can grant you permission to remove these objects. Right? And they did. They got, apparently legal permission. And so so a number of these statues were shipped to the British Museum, where they remain today, becoming known as the Elgin Marbles. And actually, the story goes, I think, that the Lord Elgin actually wanted to bring them to his country mansion or estate. And some of them actually got lost, or one of the ships sunk, and then they have to do a rescue mission to recover those. And I think he eventually ran out of money, so they ended up in the British Museum. And you could go there today to see them, and lots of people do. It's a major attraction for various people interested in the history of humanity and the history of Greece. So you could go to Britain and go there, and they're well preserved. This is the Parthenon in Athens. I think you can still go. I think you're still allowed to go and visit